In this video, I'll do a threat overview. According to ISO document 7498-2, a threat is defined as being a potential violation of security. And as cybersecurity analysts, it's our jobs to be able to identify assets and threats to them and to put in place security controls that can mitigate or completely remove that possibility of threat materialization. The first thing we have to consider is what are assets? What has value to the organization? Now, that can include numerous things, including IT systems that the company relies on, or it could be specific data like customer shopping habits data. Now, then we have to look at what type of data is the most valuable because many organizations produce many different types of data. So we have to think about the IT systems that produce the data and then the process workflow that results in the data. So that might mean, for example, a certain web application that employees follow through a specific process to fill in a form to submit data that ends up resulting in something of value to the organization. Maybe it's in the accounts payable department or accounts receivable. Asset examples include things like personally identifiable information or PI. This is any type of information that uniquely identifies an individual, things like an email address, their financial history, their social security number, and so on. Then there's corporate data that might be considered confidential. Certainly, things like accounting data would fall under that category. Data regarding mergers and acquisitions, trade secrets. There's also intellectual property or IP, and this could be related to industrial processes or methods, or it could be artistic, such as copyrights for artwork or for music. Other assets include payment card information. So if we deal with cardholder data, whether they be debit cards or credit cards, that data has to be stored in a secured manner and transmitted securely. And as such, it could be very important for an organization to safeguard that type of information. Realized threats will have a negative effect on business operations. Now, this comes in a number of ways, such as loss of revenue, such as when we get malware infections that bring IT systems down for a period of time. It can also include things like loss of reputation, loss of consumer confidence. Sources of these threats include malware, social engineering, which is trickery, of tricking someone to divulge something sensitive. There could be some other type of security breach, such as a physical security breach. Other threats include natural disasters like floods or storms, which might result in power outages, and of course, other man made threats such as war and terrorism. Data needs to be categorized for it to be taken care of properly so that we can mitigate threats against it. Data categorization uses metadata. Metadata is extra information about the actual data itself. So we could manually configure metadata about documents stored, for instance, on a Microsoft SharePoint server, where we might select items from a drop-down list, maybe to flag a document as being at a certain stage within a business process. We could also look at automated solutions like Windows File Server Resource Manager, FSRM. For example, we might have files that we look at, and if they contain credit card numbers, we would flag them as sensitive. Now, whether we're talking about solutions like SharePoint Server or FSRM, they could both be manual or automated. We categorize data because then job-based roles allow appropriate access to this categorized data. In this video, we discussed threats.